Let's continue our discussion about various types of syllabuses. And now we're going to discuss content-based syllabus. Before we discuss content-based syllabus and its features and some of its merits and limitations, I would just like you to take a little pause and think about these questions. What you can do, you could pause the video and think about these questions and then try to relate what you understand by these questions to the information provided in this video. Right. What do you understand by the term content-based syllabus? Have you ever come across this term before? Right. How would you integrate content-based syllabus into your own teaching? For example, if you are given a chance and you've been given two choices to teach functional syllabus and content-based syllabus, how would you integrate that functional into content, right? And think about some of the elements of content-based syllabus as exhibited in the National Curriculum for English Language Teaching, right? Let's talk about what means by content-based syllabus and what are its merits and some of its limitations. Well, content-based syllabus, according to Richards, this revolves around teaching language through content. In other words, English language teaching is organized around content rather than the language. And, for example, the content could come from sociology, or it could come from geography, or it could come from other social sciences subjects in the school, right? So this is how the content from other subjects is actually integrated. And the main emphasis is just to prepare students for real life, situations. And the content could come from literature as well, from one-act plays, or from short stories, or from small tasks, or from authentic language, right? And the underlying philosophy behind this content-based syllabus, and I think you might agree that this is what seems to be prevalent in the Pakistani context, especially at, in tertiary level, I mean intermediate level, where the teaching of language revolves or is organized around content. So this is how the main philosophy I was talking about is that actually once learners are in their actual lives, they don't need to speak the language. They don't need to speak about the language. Rather, they express themselves through language. So this is how language, if its teaching is based on geography, it's based on other social sciences or humanities or other subjects or other areas, it could prepare learners as rounded learners or personalities. So this is how it empowers students and makes them more confident and motivating for language learning. Let's have a look at some of its merits and demerits. Primarily, the question of how to, select the content and grade it is very crucial in the context of content-based syllabus. Because if it's left to the discretion of an individual teacher, and if the teacher is, for example, not adequately qualified or, pedagogically well-equipped, they might struggle. And what about learning other aspects of language? For example, okay, fine, students could be prepared through content-based syllabus, but what about preparing them how to make the use of language in its context or the pragmatic meaning of and what about other skills? For example, listening, because content-based syllabus, as you might agree with me, lays much more emphasis on, reading and writing, and it tends to overlook the significance of listening and speaking. So, and similarly, the use of authentic tasks is limited in this type of syllabus. And its disadvantages, I mean, it might not be useful for this type of syllabus to enhance the communicative competence of students, and the teachers might neglect some the speaking and listening skills of students. So this is how we have, uh, sort of taken a look at what means by content-based syllabus, and what are its advantages and what are its limitations.